All right, it is finally time for our Q&A. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me questions, on Instagram, sending me messages on DMs, and just a lot of questions in the comment box for the videos as well. So I went through all of those and put together 10 of the most important and the most asked questions that I feel that you guys would get the most value from. So yeah, let's begin. So for the first question, how did you get started with music and when did you start producing? I think I was always musically inclined ever since I was a little kid. I just always loved music. And in elementary school, you're required to take music class and you start learning, that little plastic flute type of instrument called the recorder. And at my school, at least, every time you would play a song perfectly, you would get a different colored string. So I was that nerdy kid whose recorder was covered in strings just because I like music. I like playing music. So in third grade is when I picked up a saxophone for the first time. It was an alto saxophone. And I started taking private lessons and it just kind of took off from there. I continued it in middle school. In middle school, I started playing baritone saxophone. And then for high school, I went to an art school in downtown Miami. And that's really where things got pretty serious. I was learning music theory. I had the opportunity to play with people like Ira Sullivan, Duffy Jackson, Benny Golson, just a bunch of really good jazz musicians. So high school was definitely a stage in my life where my knowledge with music grew, I think the most substantially. And high school is where I started really getting into production because at the time I was being introduced to EDM music. And I always liked hip hop music ever since elementary school, some early time. But I just wanted to see if I could make it. So that's kind of how I got into production. And basically everything I know about production is self-taught, and also working with other people who produce and picking up things here and there as you go. A lot of you guys are asking about if I know music theory and how I learned music theory, and basically just going to school for music, especially in high school. Going to an art school. Music theory was one of my classes, so I was forced to learn music theory. I didn't really like it. I was more the type of person that just wanted to make music and play music. I didn't really care how music worked, but it's kind of an essential. It's a necessity to learn, at least the basics to know what you're playing. You know what I mean? So yeah, in short, that's kind of how I started with music, which later turned into production. And what you guys see me doing now. And none of this would have been possible if it weren't for my parents supporting me. They were the first people to buy me my first saxophone when I was, I think, 9 years old. And they always supported me throughout the whole time. So that definitely makes a world's difference, when your parents support what you're doing and want to see you excel and do great things with it. So I definitely have to thank them for that. And for our second question, which is probably the most asked question that I have received since I started posting videos, is what equipment do you use and where do you get it? So let's go over that. So the most important piece of equipment that I own is definitely my laptop. It is a mid-2014 MacBook Pro, Retina display, 15-inch. Yeah, a computer is definitely essential to music production. At least in my opinion. There's people who use, Kai MPCs and stuff like that and make whole beats on there. But for what I'm doing, that is definitely, my most important piece of equipment. And if you guys haven't figured out by now, I make all my music on Logic Pro X, which only runs on Mac. So, having a MacBook is definitely, you need it to run Logic. But there's a whole bunch of other programs that are really good. FL Studio, a lot of people make music on that. Ableton is like a powerhouse. It's crazy. I used that for a while. A lot of people use Reason. There's a whole bunch of them out there. But yeah, try different DAWs out before you commit to one and see what you feel makes your creative process a little easier for you. And if you guys weren't aware of this, before I ever buy equipment, I do a lot of research to try and find the best prices, look at reviews and everything. And when I bought my laptop, I had been saving up money for a while. And so they don't advertise this, but Apple will actually price match. I found a better price for this laptop that I got online at B&H Photo. And so I went to the Apple store and asked them, hey, do you guys price match? And yeah, they did. They'll tell you that they'll only price match to physical stores that you can walk into, but I told them that B&H Photo is a physical store in New York, and that kind of got me the deal. So do what you got to do. Things can get expensive, especially when we're talking about equipment. So any little bit of money that you can save helps. All right, so we'll move on to the studio monitors. These are Behringer MS40s. I got them maybe like 8 years ago, and I'm pretty sure I traded in a couple of turntables for these. So that's one thing you guys can do too. If you have any equipment laying around that's of any value, you can find a music store that accepts trade-ins, and you can get a credit towards something else that you would actually use. So I actually did that for a few pieces of equipment that I've had over time. Yeah, I think their retail value is like $170, and for $170, studio monitors, they've been pretty great. I've had no issues with them. And a few people have commented about my monitor placement. When I'm making videos, you'll see that the monitors are pointed towards the camera, and the only reason I do that is because I'm using a Rode, a directional mic, so it picks up whatever sound is pointed at it. When you're actually making music, you're gonna want your monitors pointed at your head, basically, like in a triangle. So your head should be where the sound is going to, intersect, I guess. And you also want your speakers to be at ear level, which is why they make, monitor stands and stuff. I don't have that stuff. I'm working with what I've got now. Eventually I will, but, that's basically why I have my monitors turned at the microphone while I'm recording. So the next piece of equipment that we'll go over is the Focusrite over here, which is the interface that I'm running my sound through and everything. Like I said a couple of videos ago, is basically when I got that. My friend Yanni gave that to me from Miami, and that's where you're going to be recording, like microphone vocals through. You can record live instruments and stuff. So your sound is coming out of your computer into the Focusrite and then into your studio monitors. And before I had that, I was just running an RCA cable from my speakers into my computer. Which you can't do, but when I got the Focusrite, the quality of sound was instantly, you could tell how much clearer it was. Another piece of equipment that I would definitely recommend all of you guys to get is an external hard drive. I mean, this is I think it's just a 500 gigabyte external hard drive, but you can get terabytes or 2 terabytes for a pretty reasonable price now. But you always want to back up your work, because you never know if something's going to crash, whether it's your hard drive or your computer. You always want a backup. This is Dog. I got him from the Miami-Dade Animal Shelter for $75. Unfortunately, he's a 1 of 1, so you guys won't be able to get him. Next, we have this little guy over here. This is the Akai LPK25, which I got mainly for its ease of portability. I can just throw it in my book bag, and wherever I'm going I can take it with me, whether I'm on a plane or whatever it is. It's nice to have that, so I'm not typing everything in on the computer. All right, and the other MIDI keyboard that I have, which is the bigger one, is the M Audio Axiom 25, which I actually got on Craigslist, I think for like $100 used. They don't make this one anymore. There's the first generation, but they do have a second generation. It's got some nice features. It has velocity sensitive pads that you can assign different sounds to. It's got pitch bend, which in my 80s video you'll see I do a lot of that stuff with the the guitar solo. It's got modulation wheel, and just a good overall keyboard. And another piece of equipment that, depending on what type of computer you have, you might want to pick one of these up, is just a little USB hub. So it gives you more USB ports, because the majority of equipment that you're going to be using will connect to your laptop via USB. So mine's a little limited with USB ports, so you definitely got to pick one of those up. And finally, a lot of you guys are asking what plugins I use and where you can get those. I primarily use Omnisphere and Komplete in a lot of the videos that I've been making. I worked in a studio down in Miami where I was lucky enough to be able to get those for a good price, but they do retail pretty expensive. But luckily nowadays there's a bunch of different companies that are making plugins and different VSTs you guys can buy. I know there's a website called industrykits.com that offers some pretty good stuff for very reasonable prices. But yeah, that's pretty much it for equipment. I mean, I've got a pretty simple setup, but as far as where you guys can get it all, I mean, if you can find good equipment that's used, that's in good condition, I mean, go that route, because you'll save a lot of money that way. And aside from that, I mean, Amazon, Guitar Center, you know, just do your research, and you'll be able to find good prices on certain things. All right, third question. How are you able to create different styles so accurately? I actually answered this person in the comments, but I thought that this would be, you know, a good question to talk about, and you guys might gain some valuable insight through this. But you know, a lot of times we listen to music just when we're in the car or, you know, on our way to go somewhere, but I like to sit down and just listen to music as my activity. Like, that's what I'm doing, you know, so I really spend time breaking down every element of the track, and you know, whether it's the drums, the bass, the piano, you know, the vocals, everything. And you know, as far as like some of the albums that are my favorite albums, I can literally sing every instrument part for almost every song, because you know, that's how I'm able to learn what they're doing. It's like reading a book. The more you read, the larger your vocabulary becomes. So the more you listen to, and the more different styles you listen to and really break apart, that's going to add to your musical vocabulary. And so when you go and make a different style, or, you know, just sit down to make music in general, you're going to have a lot more to, you know, pull from. But yeah, I mean, it's almost like learning another language. I mean, you just, whatever you're listening to, whatever genre it is, just completely immerse yourself in that style, you know, whether it's for a week, a month, whatever. And you just really try and understand where those people are coming from, and what they're doing. And like I said, over time, your musical vocabulary is just going to keep growing and growing and growing, and you'll be able to use that when you sit down to make music. Which leads me to the next question, which is, what advice would you give for beginners? First of all, is listen to a lot of music. And don't just listen to what's, you know, coming out today. I might spend 5 to 10% of my time, you know, listening to the music that's coming out now. You definitely have to learn, you know, the roots of music and where music came from. You know, I took a master class back in high school that was, you know, basically going through different styles of music from around the world, and I was introduced to different sounds that I would have never heard if I only listened to music today. You know what I mean? So, and try and listen to everything, whether it's jazz, classical, R&B, rock, hip hop, whatever it is. You know, just the more you listen to, the more you will bring to the table when it comes time to produce and make your own music. Another piece of advice I would offer to you guys is just be persistent when it comes to making music. You know, you're gonna have a lot of times where you sit down to make something and you just can't think of anything. But as long as you're persistent with your music, you know, you'll get through those creative blocks and you'll get to the good ideas. You know what I mean? Like, for me, like, there's been times where I'll make 10 tracks that I don't like at all for every one track that I do really like. But if I just stopped, you know, within those first few tracks that I didn't like and just gave up, then I would never get to that one that was really good, you know? So you just got to keep making music, and eventually, you know, the more you practice and the more you work at your craft, the quicker you'll be able to make something that, you know, you really enjoy. Another thing that I think is important to talk about is anytime you're doing anything creative where you're putting out new ideas into the world, or, you know, regardless of what it is, you're gonna have people tell you that it's not good, or that you can't do something, or, you know, there's people in the world that literally feed off of negative energy, and they want negative attention. And you see that a lot in YouTube, where you get people who have 0 subscribers and nothing to offer when it comes to YouTube, and they literally just trolls. Like, I've seen it a lot, you know, like the first video that I ever posted before I had any subscribers, there was one kid who wrote WTF garbage, you know, and on the last video that I posted, the Atlanta track, he wrote the same thing. But, you know, meanwhile, he's still at 1,000 subscribers, and I went from 0 to now over 27,000 subscribers. So it just goes to show you that, you know, put your energy towards your work and your own progress, and ignore people like that, because at the end of the day, they're just jealous that, you know, they're not getting the recognition that you are. And it's for that reason that they're putting their attention towards, you know, negativity rather than their personal growth. You know, you look at some of the greats like you know, Albert Einstein or Walt Disney, you know, Henry Ford, you know, today Elon Musk. You know, if people like that listen to people, all the naysayers who said that you can't do something or something isn't good, then we would have nothing good in the world. You know what I mean? And like I said, the people who tell you can't do something are people who haven't done it themselves. So to take advice, listen to the criticisms of those sort of people is absolutely crazy. So, just keep your head up and keep pushing forward, and you'll get where you want to go. You know what I mean? Just don't stop. And yeah, aside from that, just, practice. The more you practice, the faster you're going to be able to take those ideas that you have in your head and materialize them into something that, you can share with others. And yeah, the last bit of advice that I would give you guys is just to be humble and always be honest with yourself, because, you need to know what you need to work on in order to get better. If you automatically think all your work is great, then you don't give yourself room for growth. You know what I mean? So, like, I know that I have a lot of work to do when it comes to my mixes, which is a big reason why I haven't, put out full tracks, is because I don't want to put anything out that isn't at the point where I would like it to be. So just be honest with yourself and your work, and know where you need to go in order to improve and reach your goals. And as long as you continue doing that, then you'll get where you want to be. All right, and the next question. What are some of your favorite albums? That's a pretty tough question because there's a lot of them. But to list a few, one of my favorite albums is Miles Davis, Relaxing with Miles. That's with John Coltrane. Another one would be Voodoo by D'Angelo. Incredible album. Let's see, Radiohead, In Rainbows. Graduation, Kanye West. Definitely Thriller, Michael Jackson. I mean, that's a classic. Louis Armstrong, Ella Fitzgerald. I think the album's called For Lovers. Yeah, there's a lot of soul in that music. I mean, Louis Armstrong was definitely one of my favorite jazz musicians. But yeah, those are just a couple of them, to name a few. I mean, I could be here all day talking about good music, but those are definitely very inspirational albums that I spent a lot of time listening to throughout the last few years. At number 6, how do you feel that your channel is already at this many subs, and what do your friends and family think? YouTube. I mean, the first video I posted, as you guys know, was September 15th, so it's going on 3 months now that I started the channel. And I mean, this is my first experience with a YouTube channel, so to have it grow this fast, I didn't ever have a slow growing channel to compare it to, so it's been normal for me. But what everybody tells me is that it's crazy that it's growing this fast, and I do realize that. It's from one day to the next, there was a period in November where it just went, it was kind of slow, and then it just spiked to, I was getting like 500 to 1,000 subscribers a day. So I mean, I don't really have an answer for how that happened, but it just did. You know what I mean? I know what I did to try and facilitate that, but which I'll get to later. But yeah, I mean, it's been a great experience. Meeting some of you guys has been awesome. You guys are definitely the motivation to keep doing this, because it seems like you guys are taking a lot away from it, which is definitely the reason I started, is to kind of see what can I give back and what can I learn from people out there. As far as what my friends and family think about it, I mean, I don't really talk to my friends too much about it. There's a couple people that I do. I mean, one of my best friends out in LA, he's a creative director out there. He's like, dude, I work on some campaign for companies that don't grow as fast as your YouTube channel has been growing. So it definitely puts it into perspective of what's really going on with the channel. It's been pretty incredible. My family supports it. They had no idea what I was going to make a channel out of when I first said that I was going to do it. And I don't think they understand, the potential it has to grow. But I mean, hey, I'm just going to keep doing it and see what happens, because you never know. And that goes for anything in life. When you see an opportunity, you just got to take it and run with it. And, because great things can come from it. All right. And question number 7, where do you work now, and will you quit your job when you become a YouTube star? I mean, there's probably a lot of people out there on YouTube who still work aside from, making revenue off of YouTube videos, that don't want to talk about their profession. But, I always want to keep it real with you guys and, be honest about everything. So yeah, right now, I'm working at a marina. I wake up at about 6:45 in the morning, 5 days a week. So I'm working almost full time with boats, doing whatever needs to be done around there. And before that, I worked for 6 years in a restaurant serving. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty just honest, average jobs, nothing crazy. But I graduated college this past December with my bachelor's degree in marketing. So, it's just been trying to find that solid job, full-time job. But yeah, I mean, I started YouTube in the midst of it to, see how I can market myself and stuff. And so far it's been pretty successful. So if anything does come from it, and more opportunities come from YouTube, then yeah, I'll probably go with that and see what happens. So question number 8, how did you get so many views and subscribers so fast? I mean, I feel like that's a good question to ask you guys. Like, what makes you guys want to watch these videos and stuff? And go ahead and answer that for me, because that's valuable insight that I can use moving forward. But I mean, what I did is if you guys know what SEO is, or if you don't know what it is, it stands for search engine optimization, and it's basically just adding keywords to your web content that Google indexes, and it's that people search the most often. So when I upload a video, in the tags, I'll find, relevant keywords towards music production and stuff like that people search the most in Google. And so yeah, I guess that makes my videos show up higher. And when people search anything having to do with music, I don't know if it worked or if I did it properly, but I mean, the numbers show that it must have worked to some degree. So another thing that I would say has probably worked to some degree is, you got to make your own thumbnails and things that kind of pop out and make people want to click on them. And to a certain extent, yeah, I mean, it can look like clickbait. I've had people criticize me for that, but if it works, it works. I mean, the key is to have, good content that people are going to take away from, to back that thumbnail up, you know what I mean? So if you're just making, a clickbait type of thumbnail and then your video is just, wasting somebody's time, then that's not going to work, but just make good content and trying to have a personal relationship with, your subscribers, and, just be real with people, because that's what people want, you know what I mean? And I think those are a couple factors that have, helped my channel grow the way that it has, in a short period of time. So for question number 9, have you met with any artists or producers? I have met a few artists, but never to really, talk about what I'm doing or to work with them one-on-one. But like, I think it was a couple years ago at a show, I met Travis Scott and Metro Boomin. I actually gave them USB cards with a couple of tracks on them, and Travis took it from me and he looks at it like this and just hands it to the girl next to him. But Metro Boomin was super cool. He thanked me and talked to him for a little bit. I met last year at Art Basel in Miami. I met Jesse Boykins III, JB3. If you haven't checked his music out, definitely do. I mean, one of my favorite albums, another good album, is called The Beauty Created by Jesse Boykins III. Great musician, and he made that. I'm pretty sure he made that in his home studio by himself. And it goes to show what you can do when you really put effort into your craft. But I talked to him for a while. Super down to earth guy, and at that same event, there was a bunch of people there. There was Russell Simmons, Solange Knowles was DJing, Miguel was there. So, I didn't meet those people, but, you're amongst these people. So I guess that's a benefit of living in Miami, is that it's kind of a hot spot. But to answer your question, I've never, met with artists or producers to work with them, but I have met a couple of people. Hopefully in the future that'll be different. I'll be able to work with certain people. And for our final question, where do you see your channel going in the future? I don't know where it will go, but I've had ideas for where I'd like to take it. For now I've just been in this room making content for you guys, but eventually I'd like to get out there and go to different studios and work with different artists that I think you guys would also learn from too, because there's so many incredible musicians out there that don't get the the acknowledgement that they deserve. And so I think it would be really cool to go to different studios and work with these sorts of people, just to give you guys a different perspective and a different outlook on the styles of music that you can make and what you can do with different setups, and just kind of more like a behind the scenes type of thing. But and that's definitely doable. But yeah, I'm not currently living in Miami right now, but I'm going down the 22nd of December. And I'm gonna try and get an episode for you guys down there while I'm down there at my friend Yanni's studio, because he's got a really cool setup at his house. And yeah, hopefully that'll kind of be, you know, a taste of where the channel is going to go if I can get, you know, in all these different studios with different artists and, you know, bring some really cool content to you guys. So, you know, thank you for sticking around so far, and you know, we'll see what happens. But that concludes the Q&A. Hopefully you guys were able to get, you know, some knowledge and insight from the video. You know, if there's still things you guys want to know, just comment below and I'll try and get back to you guys, or follow me on Instagram at _Pat Ryan. I'll put a link in the description, and I'll see you guys next time.